Sometimes in life, I feel like Jesus is speaking directly to us in today's gospel, but we aren't paying attention. How many times have you felt like you're going along in life and it feels like the blind leading the blind, like we're just kind of aimlessly wandering around in life and we don't have that goal and that path set before us, or if there is one, we just aren't paying attention to it. Sometimes that's how we feel as people when it comes to relationships, when it comes to what it is you're going to do when you go off to college, what you're going to do once you get into the workforce. We feel like we're just kind of out there without any specific guide. And so the Lord then says to us, focus. Focus on what it is that can help you to grow so that you can learn to be like the master. Learn to be like the teacher. No student is the teacher, but after you are trained well, you can be like the teacher. The struggle, though, is we look to the wrong teachers to learn from. We learn this at a very young age. We learn at a very young age to read to get information. We learn at a very young age to watch TV, and that's where we get our information. We get all of our news, we get all of what is actually happening, not from a verifiable source, but instead from just whatever voice is talking the loudest. And so we live as if we are the blind leading the blind. How many times do you go to a verifiable news source to find something that is true? Well, I do all the time, Father. Well, if you go to CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, or either of them on either side or in the middle, it's not news. It's opinion on both sides of the aisle. Where do we go to find our news? In fact, just this last week, I contacted one of our parishioners because I saw a news post on social media that said, "May Pope Francis rest in peace. He's died." To which I said, no, he hasn't. Where'd you get this information? Well, I went to where the information came from, and it was from a verifiable Catholic blog. And thousands of people worldwide had shared this. To which I immediately texted the individual and said, "Do me a favor, take that down." And that's part of the struggle is we look to these people to tell us the truth, and sometimes there's always, it seems like, a troll out there that is seeking to start things where nothing is really going. And then that starts then the scuttlebutt of, well, is the Pope really alive? We haven't seen him. I mean, did they just kill him and he's dead and we're just trying to prepare things? It's like, what are you talking about? But this is where conspiracy theories come from. When we don't look to what is the truth and allow what is put forth as the truth to guide us, many times we are led astray without even realizing it. We become then the blind leading the blind. So I put out a post saying, don't read the blogs, don't read the news, don't watch the news. Does anybody remember when Pope St. John Paul II died? I remember very vividly where I was when I got the news report. I was at a Pizza Hut in Norman. Why do I remember that? I couldn't tell you, though I like my pizza. But I was at Pizza Hut in Norman, and I look up at the TV, and I was there at work, and it's like, oh my gosh, the Pope died. Do you remember what happened when Pope St. John Paul II died? There was a news report by one of the big news media that wanted to get the scoop. And so they put out there the Pope had died. He was on TV later that same day. We're so obsessed with being the first person to report something that it doesn't matter if what we're reporting sometimes is the truth or not. So that's why I put out and said, until I get an email from the bishop or I hear something from brother priests, just keep praying. That's what we're called to do no matter what anyways. Don't listen to the news because it's trying to tell a story that is a specific narrative they're trying to push. And it's the same way it seems when it comes to gossip, isn't it? People will begin to pigeonhole certain people or certain families or certain individuals in a certain light. And even if you don't even know that person, you know about that person. It happens here in the church too, be honest. That sometimes we have people that don't feel like they belong here. And actually, I've had people that have come to me since I've been here that have said, Father, I want to come back to church. I watch online and I want to be part of that community. But I feel like if I walk into that church, people are going to look at me. Because people have judged me my whole life. And I said, well, I'm hoping that's not happening. If it does, let me know. But also, I think it's part of the struggle that we have as human beings is leaving the way that we act outside of the world out there and changing our hearts in here. It's supposed to be the same in both, but this to influence that, not that to influence this. And we allow the world to influence how we live more than we allow our faith to influence how we live in the world. And so when Christ comes to us and he says, remove the beam from your eye before you worry about the sliver in your neighbor's eye, part of it has to do with he wants to make sure that you are looking under the right circumstances. You know, many times in life, when we judge those harshly around us, what we're really doing is judging ourselves by judging them. You know, envy and jealousy are two of the biggest struggles and sin that humanity has in the 21st century, but that's not new. But what we do is we judge others because if we're not going to be able to get away with it, neither are they. If they can do this and get away with it, I'm going to judge them because I can't get away with it. It's like, wait, what? That makes absolutely no sense. Yet that's how we live so many times in life. We look at people and say, man, if I could just be a fly on the wall of that conversation, I could be able to see everything, know everything, but what would it change? We'd have more information, but do we put it to good use? No, probably not. We want to gossip. We want to be in the know. We have this innate FOMO, fear of missing out, that we have to know everything that's going on around us, even if it has nothing to do with us. Why is that? Instead of focusing on what we can control, we spend so much time focusing on things that have absolutely nothing to do with us. I have to admit, last night after Mass, I got online checking ESPN because free agency is about to start in the NFL, and my Niners are being dumb. And so it's going on there, and it's like, oh no, we traded away one of my favorite receivers. All we got was a 5th-round pick. And I begin to go into that and say, man, we should have done this differently, this differently, this differently. And then I realized I just wasted 30 minutes over something I can't control any part of. How many times do we watch the scouting combine for the basketball or for the NFL and we're like, you know what? I know exactly how this player is going to turn out. I know exactly what team this guy is going to go to, and then get it completely wrong every time. But we've invested all that energy, all that time, all of that effort into it for what? What could we have been doing instead? Instead of focusing on needles that we have no influence over, we could have been spending time in prayer. Could have been spending time in conversation with friends or loved ones. You know, part of the struggle with humanity and life is we don't realize, as we hear of in our second reading from St. Paul to the Corinthians, that we have a mortal life. You and everyone around you is going to die at some point. Let that sink in for a moment. You are not immortal. Your soul is. But we spend so much time worrying over mortal things that we rarely think about what's going to happen to our immortal soul when we die. But because of our mortality, we are called to spend every moment wisely. Yet we waste so much time on frivolous things, and then we get others to join us in that frivolosity as well. Instead of going and sitting with someone, how are you doing today? You know, that's a question that we ask so many times that it becomes part of like who we are. Hey, how you doing? Okay, good to see you. It's like, oh, you didn't really want to know? It becomes a greeting, right? Hey, how you doing? Doing fine. Okay, bye. How much better would it be if, hey, how can I pray for you today? Oh, I don't know. Well, I've got this boss that's a pain in the neck, and pray that I don't strangle him or her. I've got this big case coming up that I don't know how to really approach it. Oh, well, there's someone in my family that's sick. It'd be great if you could pray for them. Or I've got this operation coming up, and can you keep me in your thoughts and prayers? Sure. And then do it. How many times has someone told you, I will pray for you? And then you're like, they're not going to pray for me. They forget it. And I have to admit, that's something that I struggle with at times because I get prayer requests left and right all day long. And so I make sure then, every time that I come to Mass, during that final intercession that we have, for all of those things that we hold in our hearts, for all of those who I promised to pray for that I forgot to pray for. But also, I've tried to make it into a new intentionality that, hey, how can I pray for you? Oh, well, my friend is sick. Can you pray for them? Yeah, what's their name? So-and-so. All right, can we pray right now? I guess. It's like, well, if you want me to pray for you, let's pray. Let's do it. Why are we putting it off? I don't know about you, but my ADHD and my procrastination is so bad that if I don't do it in the moment, the odds of me doing it down the road get lesser and lesser as every minute and second tick by. In today's gospel, Jesus says to us, good trees cannot bear bad fruit. Bad trees cannot bear good fruit. Now that gives me hope because I know that I'm a sinner, but I also know good things are happening. So it's like, okay, I'm at least not a bad tree yet. There's some hope there, that I have something within me that's redeemable. And that's a place for us to start. But as we start anew this Wednesday with Ash Wednesday, going into our Lenten journey of faith, how is God calling you to not just start, but to get to work? Sometimes starting is the hardest part. Like, I hate going to the gym, obviously. I hate going to the gym, but once I'm there, I'm fine. I hate going out to eat, but once I'm there, I'm hungry and I don't care. Starting sometimes is the most difficult part, but the second most difficult part is doing it again and again and again. Lent is 40 days of an opportunity that God is giving to each and every one of us to pray more, to fast more, and to give more. And we talk about it as praying, fasting, and almsgiving. Oh, Father's going to talk about money. No, he's not. Because when I talk about almsgiving, I go back to what my pastor growing up said. When we talk about almsgiving, it's how do you give of your time, your talent, and your treasures. Treasures are not always just financially. Treasures are what God has blessed you with. And how can you give that back to the community of faith? How can you give that back to God? Being a pastor of a large complex like this, I came out here that first year 4 years ago, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much out here. We have got to have like a maintenance staff of like 20 people to do this. One. Tim was in charge of this whole property. And now Kevin is in charge of this whole property. I guarantee if you have gifts and talents that can help manage and maintain this property, Kevin will be like, thank you. Yes, I would love if you want to come in and help clean the pews once a week or once a month. Yes, I would love if you want to come out and once a month mow so I don't have to. Once a month trim trees so I don't have to. All of this property and all of its maintenance, one individual. I thought I had a hard job. And yet, sometimes we can give that extra. Or maybe you're free on one Friday a month and you can help unload the truck for the food bank. And so during the time of Lent, you're like, you know what, I'm going to go help unload the food truck. Or maybe you're free every other Tuesday and you want to come volunteer to work in the food bank. Or maybe you're free on Fridays during Lent. You know where this is going. If you don't, you haven't been paying attention because we have the best fish fry in the state. If you're free on Fridays, maybe you can help in the kitchen, though don't tell the Knights of Columbus I said that. Maybe you can help with the dessert table. Maybe you can help with making desserts. Maybe you can help with helping to bus tables. And it's great that we have so many kids that show up to do that as part of their service for confirmation. But I guarantee you we can always use more hands to help take out the trash, to help manage things, to help do these things. And that's just on Fridays during Lent. Maybe you want to know more about your faith, and so you know what? I'm going to, during Lent, come to every adult class that we have. Whether Father's there or not, I'm going to show up, because there's 3 that I won't be here for, because I'll be out hearing confessions at other parishes. Maybe during this Lent, God is saying, I need you to just stop. Take some time and know that you are loved. You know, for me, I wish I could say that every Lent is productive. The last 2 for me have been horrific. Because I've been so busy trying to manage and do all these things that I forget that I have to work on my own relationship with God too. That's part of what Christ was talking about in today's gospel when he says, remove the beam from your own eye before you worry about the sliver in your neighbor's eye. You can't give what you haven't first received. And so at times I feel like I'm running on empty. Just ask Amy or Katie in the office. I'm like, I got no energy. Father, it's 10 o'clock in the morning and you just got out of bed. I have no energy. Because a lot of times mentally, my brain doesn't shut off. In fact, this last week, I haven't slept well since Tuesday. Haven't made it through one night of sleep this week. Now, part of that is because I had a really rough meeting on Tuesday night. See, Tuesday night, I met with the Spanish-speaking community from our parish. And in that meeting, unfortunately, it was decided that the Mass in Spanish on the weekends is discontinued as of last night because people weren't showing up. And of course, as soon as we make that announcement, last night was our fullest Mass we had. So I was like, Lord, I quit. I was so frustrated because it's like I'm trying and I'm busting through and doing what we can, and yet it doesn't work, and I finally quit, and people show up. Lord, come on, man. And sometimes that's how it is in life. Sometimes we're so busy trying to make it how we think it needs to be that we've got to get out of God's way. But as much as it hurt last night to make that announcement, and like I went back and forth throughout my homily last night, throughout Mass last night, it's like, well, they actually showed up. Well, maybe if we keep Mass going, they'll keep showing up. So we're not going to cancel. Like that's what was in my mind all night last night. It's like, no, we made this decision. We prayed over it. I cannot change it now because then if I do change it and I come back next weekend and there's only 23 people, I am going to be livid beyond livid. As the community, the decision was made. And as much as it breaks my heart, sometimes that's part of our life and faith, trial and error. You know, I say this almost every week at the Masses in Spanish. Yo soy gringo. I'm a gringo. English is my first language, and I struggle with my grammar. I'm glad we don't have any English teachers that actually come to Mass. Math, I get away with every once in a while, but English, do you know how many double negatives and run-on sentences I have in a typical homily? I feel like St. Paul is like my spirit animal. If you've ever read through St. Paul, do you know how many periods and commas and that should be in there that are not? Like a typical sentence for St. Paul is like 3 pages long, kind of like my homilies, 30 minutes long. All of this to say, my brothers and sisters, before you worry about what's going on and how you can fix someone else, you have to first recognize that sometimes it's not about fixing. It's about how can you love and how can you best minister. Which means sometimes taking that step back and saying, Lord, I need to receive before I can give. So in this next 47 days, starting on Wednesday, yes, I said 47 because Sundays are part of the time period between Ash Wednesday and Easter. How is the Lord looking to change your life? And how are you willing to allow him to change it? And what are you willing to do to make that happen? I pray that you will allow yourself to get out of the way and allow the Lord to truly change your life this Lent.